Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Solar AS conference call. Today I'm pleased to present CEO Anders Wilhelm and CFO Mikael Jeppesen. For the first part of this call, participants will be in listen-only mode, and afterwards there will be a question and answer session. Anders Wilhelm, please begin.
Thank you, and good morning, everybody. Welcome to this teleconference, which is related to the announcement we made this morning regarding the divestment of our activities in Germany. I'd like just to give you a few comments to start off with, and then I will hand it over to Michael, and then we will at the end open up for question and answers. The background for the decision is that our German activities has been loss-making for several years. We, during the summer of last year, made a thorough analysis on what alternative scenarios for the future would be most attractive to us, of which one of them was to divest the activities. We have, during the fall of last year, been in discussions regarding the possible divestment and in negotiation with interested parties. Based on the feedback that we got, we decided that a divestment was the most attractive scenario for not only the shareholders of Solar, but also for the employees and for our German customers. So based on that, we saw this as the most attractive future for the business and for Solar, and that's why we decided to proceed, and we're very happy with having made an agreement, of course subject to approval, having made an agreement with Sonepar, a very respectable competitor in our view. So that's the background for why we've done it. I'll now hand it over to Michael for comments as well.
Thank you, Anders. Now, regarding the sale of our activities in Germany, Sonepar will take over, as Anders said, all the assets and all the people, meaning that there'll hardly be left anything in the company after the acquisition. Now, the financial impact of this is that it will free up approximately 250 million Danish kroners on a normalized basis. And on top of that, there will be an accounting capital gain equal to approximately 50 million. Now, we assume that we will get all the necessary approvals before the end of April. And until then, we expect an operational loss in the German unit of approximately 20 million. So if you look at the accounting in Solar regarding Germany, we expect a net profit of approximately 30 million. Now, the agreement we have entered into with Sonepar it's a very traditional agreement where they acquire the assets, and it has the custom reps and warrants that you always find in these type of agreements. The agreement is, of course, depending on the necessary approvals, amongst other, of course, from the competition authorities. We do not anticipate any issues here. It's simply just a matter of that these applications and the handling of them always tend to take more time than what you actually would like them to do. So, with these few words, I'll open up for questions. Please say your name and your company whenever you have a question.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to ask a question, please press 01 on your telephone keypad. Our first question comes from Mr. Christian Johansson from Danske Bank. Please go ahead.
Hi, this is Christian Johansson from Danske Bank. A couple of questions. First, just to understand you correctly, when you say it frees up capital of 250 million, is that the same as there will be a positive cash flow impact in Q2 of 250 million?
Yeah, that's from the sale, and on top of that, you'll have the capital gain. So, and actually, you'll end up with 250 plus 30 in total, 280 million Danish kroners.
Okay,
correct.
That's clear.
Stood.
Yeah. And then on your sourcing, how will this divestment impact your sourcing prices for the rest of the organization?
We do not anticipate that this will have an impact.
Okay, that's clear. Then I just want to confirm that what you said in connection with Q3 results, where you stated that the cost restructuring will have a annual positive effect of 7 million euros, of which 50% will be realized in 2015. Is that still the case?
That the restructuring has been executed or are being executed as planned. So with the knowledge we have today, we don't see any need to change that. of course, and this is a general statement that always goes, or we should always be aware that there is a certain cost inflation, also in particular regarding salary.
Sure. Because then I have a bit of a hard time understanding your guidance. I mean, you put in your statement here, I mean, the comparable numbers for 14 of 250. You think you are rounding down 6 million, but let's just leave it at 250. Because 50% of 7 million euros, that's another 26 million on top of that, in order to compare to what you're guiding for next year. And then you have your impact from Norwegian and Swedish krona, which is -10. And then if you're adjusting 14 revenue for the 250 impact from Norwegian and Swedish krona, I get a comparable revenue which is 10 billion, pretty clean. In line with the lower end of your guidance, but I'm sort of missing 65, 66 million on the earnings level in your guidance. Can you just help me understand if there's any...
I can refer to something we've said before, which I think, just based on what you said here, is not in it, that there is cost inflation, in particular salary inflation, in an all other equal scenario, and you should maybe consider that.
And in absolute numbers, how much would salary inflation be?
We have previously said you should calculate between 6 to 8 million euro. That's what has been disclosed previously.
So 6 to 8 million euros. And there's no, you're not able to offset these salary increases in your selling prices? It's
a competitive market. But as we said, this is a preliminary guidance, and it should be read in that way. And the main message is, as you clearly state, that there is no major change in the market. So what you're saying is your guidance reflects salary increases, but not any increases in selling prices to offset this.
Can I? This is Anders William speaking. I would like to make it clear that this telephone call is regarding the divestment of Germany. It is not a review of the guidance for next year. The guidance for this year is a preliminary guidance to assist those in updating their spreadsheets and views on Solar as a company. More details will be, as we have also said, will be disclosed in connection with the final account for 2014 by the end of this month. So just to be sure that we are not getting a huge amount of questions regarding guidance or 2014 actual, because that's not the purpose of this call. Thank you.
Okay, well, I mean, that was my last question.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Mr. Jonas Gullborg from Carnegie. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, this is Jonas from Carnegie. This 280 million cash flow effect, how will you use this extra cash?
Well, if everything fails, we could consider giving it to the shareholders, but we have no final decision has been made on how this should be, what should be done with this additional cash flow. But as announced previously, we are also looking for potential acquisition targets. So that will have to go into the equation before any final decision is made on what to do with it.
Okay. Could you put any color on the size of these acquisitions that you're looking for?
That's early days, very early days. But there is basically no news in that compared to what we have said at both Q2 and Q3.
Okay.
That we are looking for potential acquisitions.
Yeah. Could you also put some color on the level of depreciations and amortizations in the German activities in 2014?
There is no amortizations in Germany as far as I remember. Depreciations are fairly low as well, but the exact figure, my memory fails me. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's not a significant figure.
Okay. And then lastly, now without the German activities in your portfolio, how do you see the longer-term margin potential for the group?
It has improved. Let us put it this way. Clearly, the German market, which is not only the situation for Solar, but also for others, is a very competitive market, probably the most competitive market in Western Europe. And everything else equal, that should have a positive impact on the, let's say, the new core Solar business.
Okay, and when you said it is improved, is it then compared to the last couple of years, or to the average over the cycle kind of margins?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious if you take something out of the equation which is below average, then the remaining part will of course improve substantially. And as Anders also clearly stated, we do not anticipate that this will have any impact with our relationship with the suppliers, despite many of the suppliers being of German origin. Okay, thank you.
Our next question comes from Mr. Christian Reinholdt from Small Cap Denmark. Please go ahead.
Yes, hello.
Hello, Christian.
With the 280 million in which you receive from this deal, you'll have almost no debt. So I'd like to go a bit back to the question about a dividend, extraordinary dividend. I expect the board must have been discussing that in connection with this here. So could you give us any indication that there will be an extraordinary dividend because of this?
No, we cannot give you any indication on that, as this is a board decision. This is not a decision made in our offices. So we'll have to refer you to the chairman.
Yeah, but when Aurora was sold, there was a promise to pay out some money, which never happened. So it will be quite natural to remedy a bit of that now.
If my memory doesn't fail me, Christian, there was actually paid out substantially more in dividend last year than what our dividend policy actually says we should do. So I disagree with that. But it was paid out at the ordinary general meeting. That's correct. But it was substantially above what our policy actually said.
Okay. Of course, I think it's very good that you have got rid of Germany, but it also raises the question if you are looking on other changes in the structure of the group, because there's also other areas where you are not earning very much money, to be polite.
Well, we appreciate your politeness, Christian, first of all. Secondly, regarding other divestment plans, we have no current plans in that regard.
So we will not see any further divestments in this year from Sora?
That is highly unlikely. Okay. I will not give any guarantees, but I find it highly unlikely since we have no current plans.
Okay. And these acquisitions you are talking about, can we be sure that you are not going into new geographic areas? Will it be to strengthen the business you have in the market you're in today?
We don't have any new comments on that compared to what we've said in the last couple of quarterly meetings, that what we're looking at is how we can selectively expand our business into neighboring areas. There is no ambition for that to have a geographical expansion, but we will not exclude it either. I want to make that clear, but it is not an imperialistic strategy. This is a question of how can we leverage assets across current business and potential future business.
Okay. My last question is really about the guidance, but as you said before, you probably will not answer it, but could you give us any idea what your business in Norway is doing regarding the Norwegian oil service sector? Because with the current oil price...
We'll refer to what we said before, Christian, and we'll just repeat ourselves in that, and if you cannot remember it, I'll be happy to refresh your memory on this. Okay, you remember what we said before.
But you should not be surprised that you get questions about the guidance, because you are giving a guidance here, and you are also talking about the currency situation in Sweden and Norway.
Yeah, but that's a well-known fact, I think.
Okay.
But yes, absolutely correct, Christian.
But as we said, just to round that off, as we said, this is a preliminary guidance, and we've done it as an extraordinary thing because of the size and the impact of the divestment of our German activities. Otherwise, we would have come with it at the end of this month with a bit more detail than we have right now.
Then I just have one wish, if I can put it that way. Could we get a balance sheet when you report the full year report where you have taken out Germany, so we know what we have to look at and what we are looking at going forward?
It will be disclosed as far as I remember, it will be disclosed as assets for sale. So they will be deconsolidated, but only to some extent.
Okay.
But maybe we can. Maybe I'll just have a closer look at it again, Christian.
Your request has been noted. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
But I think what we will report will meet your demands.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's all.
This issue.
Yeah.
I remind you to press 01 if you'd like to ask a question. Our next question goes from Mr. Anders Grayson from Nordea. Please go ahead.
Hello, Hans Gregersen. One question regarding the divestment sum. Just to recap, you stated that you would get 250 plus another 50, which would entail a loss of 20, giving you a net cash position of 280. What is the tax on that revenue, if any?
Very, very limited. There is quite some tax losses in Germany, as you may remember. But they have some very... German tax carry-forward losses rules are to some extent similar to the Danish, but there will not be any major tax payment in Germany. It will be small money, if any at all.
Good. So let's say it's zero. So basically, when the deal is completed, you will get 280 in cash in your hands, correct?
That will be the cash that will be freed up. Yes, correct.
And secondly, do you have any provision or guarantees towards the buyer?
Have you ever seen a sales agreement where you don't have to give it? I said there were custom reps and warrants in it, and this is, of course, the same. These guys are top professional.
But let's say,
the same when we buy something.
Let me rephrase the question. Beyond, let's say, traditional trading warranties, whatever, are there any provisions you're doing in connection with this transaction?
I'll only refer to it in general terms. These are ordinary, traditional reps and warrants that we have been giving, as you could expect in a deal with a professional actor like Sonepar.
Thank you.
We have no further questions from the telephone.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your attention, and have a nice day.